You get good at one thing and people trust you to do the next thing. And that's a piece of advice that I always kept in the back of my mind, still do, because it's really a great piece of advice. You get good at one thing, people trust that you can do the next thing. So
right, because it's just about being on your feet and handling tasks.
Yeah, it's like just doing it. Just doing it. And it's proving to them that like they'll take a risk on you. People will take a risk on you if they see that you're good at one thing, you mastered one thing. I'm not a master of photography or a master coordinator or anything,
right, totally.
But I definitely put my best effort forward, and one thing led to another, and I started commercial production for Mass Appeal because that's what they were into at the time. They still are, and it was really fun. It was like crazy, and I was working on like Snickers commercials and Nike commercials, producing it. I studied history in college. I didn't go to film. I knew nothing about I always felt jealous. I still do, of like people who went to school for film because they have such a leg up.
Yeah.
But you can also just learn so much just doing it.
Harrison, what's good, bro? Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, super excited to have you here today, man. You're definitely involved in a lot of interesting stuff. With that said, could you just give us a little bit of a rundown? I think, how did you get started at Mass Appeal? What are you focused on right now?
So I started as an intern at Mass Appeal. I started as an intern at Mass Appeal 5 years ago, actually, which is crazy.
So you were an intern the year before I was an intern.
Yeah, I started 2012, 2013.
Yeah, I was an intern 2014. That's crazy.
Yeah, and started as an intern, summer internship, and one thing led to another. I became friends with Sasha, Sasha Jenkins, who people might know as the founder of Ego Trip, co-founder Ego Trip, and then he also did the White Rapper Show. He did a bunch of shit. Now he directs films. He directed Fresh Dress. He directed Burn Motherfucker Burn on the so-called LA riots for Showtime. He's done a ton of shit. I can curse, right?
Yeah,
for sure. Encouraged.
All right. So I became friends with him, and he took a liking to me for some reason. I was doing all the horrible work he was giving me, but it was cool work. It was like transcribing was like the worst. But I did it with kind of glee and like happiness because I just saw it like as an opportunity to get in and do stuff, and just like I needed something to do. And
right.
So I did it over a year, and I always tease him, like he told me he was gonna get me some money for it, and I did it even during senior year of college. I went to school at Davidson, where Steph Curry went, and that's in North Carolina. So I spent a whole year working for Sasha in North Carolina.
Like remotely?
Remotely, just doing transcribing, like the worst type of stuff. And, one thing led to another, and he said he had a film. The next I graduated, I told him, yo, man, I'm done. I met with him. I had a good conversation, and he was like, yo, he called me out of the blue, like in June. I had no job, no anything after graduating. He was like, yo, would you be down to work for me? The pay is nothing, but it was a little something. It's not absolutely nothing, but it'll be an opportunity and it'll be fun. So I just remember researching and doing a ton of work. And then I, got in with him, and he was cool with me, and he liked what I was doing. And I started working on this show, the documentary Fresh Dress. And I was just a production coordinator, production manager, PA. I literally did anything you could imagine just to be on set. And I met a bunch of people there. Pharrell was in that film. A$AP Rocky was in that film. Puffy was in that film. I met all these dudes when I was like a PA, production manager.
Right.
And that shit was so crazy to me, and it was like a dream come true because I always wanted to work in hip hop. Like since I was a little kid, I always thought this was an opportunity, like a place where it's what I wanted to do. Like I was in love with the music, so I got to meet all these heroes of mine, and I was like, damn, I was so hyped. I was like, but I was like getting them coffee and shit. I was doing anything that cool. And then one thing led to another. I started doing a lot of, the film came out, did really well, went to Sundance. I proved myself to the office. I started taking photographs because I had always been able to shoot, and I was always interested, but I had never really tried. I started doing it and started taking photographs of the people we were meeting. And that kind of developed into a little thing. I'm like, still love to take photographs, still a photographer. And Sasha always told me right when we started, he was like, yo, you get good at one thing and people trust you to do the next thing. And that's a piece of advice that I always kept in the back of my mind, still do, because it's really a great piece of advice. You get good at one thing, people trust that you can do the next thing. So
right, because it's just about being on your feet and handling tasks.
Yeah, it's like just doing it. Just doing it. And it's proving to them that like, oh, I like they'll take a risk on you. People will take a risk on you if they see that you're good at one thing, you mastered one thing. I'm not a master of photography or a master coordinator or anything,
right, totally.
But I definitely put my best effort forward, and one thing led to another, and I started doing commercial production for Mass Appeal, because that's what they were into at the time. They still are, and it was really fun. It was like crazy, and I was working on like Snickers commercials and Nike commercials, producing it. I studied history in college. I didn't go to film. I knew nothing about I always felt jealous. I still do, of like people who went to school for film because they have such a leg up.
Yeah.
But you can also just learn so much. Like I think that's what I took away from the whole experience. Is like I literally learned so much just doing it.
Right.
And that is something that is like invaluable to me. So I guess, you know, the long story short is, you know, you gotta hustle. I mean, I kind of forgot the question at this point, but and now
it's always the answer.
What do I do?
Yeah, regardless of the question, you just gotta hustle.
You just gotta hustle.
The
we were talking about
is how'd you get into
Oh, so then all right, so that's how I got in, and then
so you only went off at the very end there.
Yeah,
up until you still stayed on. Like it's still relevant. I
don't know. So what else? All right, and then after that, still recording?
It's good.
That's the first.
So we were, you know, working in Mass Appeal, doing all these different things, and Mass Appeal started growing and growing, and I started producing other things and post-producing and doing commercial stuff. And I wasn't really a fan of the commercial stuff, but it really helped me learn how to deal with clients. And you know, I didn't have that much confidence, honestly. So just built my confidence up, and I ended up leaving for like a month or two, and then came back, freelance for a while, and then came back and worked just for Mass Appeal, doing digital video content and helping with Sasha, his stuff that he needed help with the film and television. And one thing led to another, and you know, 2 or 3 years later, I'm like helping run the division now, the digital media division. I'm, you know, the head director of digital video there, and it's been a blessing, man. I have like a million connections in the music game that I never thought I'd have. And all that is just being in a place. I always tell people, like, I'm just the face that people recognize now. I've been there for so long. They think of Mass Appeal. They might not even know my name, half these people, but they see my face. And after a while, we start to actually connect. They actually remember me. I remember I met Coach K like 3 years ago, right before Lil Yachty really blew up at South by. I met him, and he was like, yo, your network is your net worth. That's what he said to me. I was like, that is some smart ass shit. I remember we had a whole conversation about this, and then I saw him like 3 years later, and he's like, yo, I remember you. And it's like, now he's like one of the biggest guys. He's in Time magazine and shit.
It's crazy.
But the point is that like these relationships you don't even know are gonna matter. I'll give you another example. Maxo Cream, right?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing Houston rapper. I had met him at South by like 3 years ago. Same year I met Lil Yachty. And I don't know why, but something told me, like, they asked me, like, yo, can you get me and my 5 friends into the Mass Appeal show live at the barbecue? And I was like, something in the back of my head is like, yeah, do that. They're cool. Just do it. I got them VIP passes. It was like sold out to capacity. Like, it was the craziest show, and it was impossible to get all 5 of these dudes in. Somehow I hustled these guys in. 3 years later, I'm in Houston in SWAT shooting a documentary with Maxo Cream, right? Needless to say, all that point of that story is that like you literally, Maxo was not where Maxo is now. You never know where these dudes are. Something gave me a gut feeling, and it's really an incredible thing to see both of our careers. And his career, you know, he's taken off. He's a real rapper. He's a real star. But it's to see both of our careers progress and like doing bigger and better shit. So
you
just never know. You literally never know who's going to become the next guy, like, never know who, you know, is going to go on this journey with you. You know?
Yeah, man. I definitely also think it's a lot of it is just people who are willing to connect with other people. You know what I mean? Like, I think what keeps people going in terms of expanding their network, at least for myself, it's not just like, you know, I don't know where you'll go. It's that I have like a genuine interest in what other people are doing in the music industry. And then sometimes some of those people drop out of the music industry. They weren't working anymore. And then we're just homies now. And then other times it's like, oh, damn, they work at this company. Like, maybe we can actually do something together. And then we actually work together. So a lot of it, I think, just derives from just being a person just who's okay with connecting with people. You know what I mean? So
Totally.
yeah.
That's awesome. So what's kind of the day-to-day right now? What are you really focused on?
So day to day right now, we just working on getting Mass Appeal even bigger, obviously in the digital world. You know, once I took over the digital video side of things, we went from like 100,000 subscribers on YouTube to like closing in on 575,000 in 2 years.
That's awesome.
Some crazy shit. And obviously that is like not just me, but it is a lot large. I've been there for the whole time and I've been running the whole thing. So, you know, it's obviously a lot to do with the music videos, a lot of it, but you know, it's really cool to see your growth in numbers. Now, are we where we want to be? Absolutely not. We got to make better content. But my day to day is like finding new talent, shooting stuff. I don't do all this. I don't do any of the shooting, but you know, directing people, producing people. You know, just running the department, helping run the department, running the media division, digital media division. And
how many people are in the division right now?
15.
15?
15 to 18, just in the digital video side of things.
That's crazy. That's more people than were at Mass Appeal, like total, when I was there.
There's like 60, 70 people full time.
Wow, that's crazy.
And then
that's huge.
Yeah, that is huge.
How many? There's like 25 freelancers that just come in and out. Crazy shit.
On top of the 70 people.
Yeah, on top. So we got 2 floors now, which is dope.
Yeah.
And we obviously are still not at the level we need to be. And we're always trying to grow and get bigger and better. But like Mass Appeal is like a hub for people. Like I've met so many people and like if I didn't work there, I just would never have met. Like that's the thing. Like I didn't have, like a lot of people I've noticed in New York have like this thing where they just know everyone in the music industry somehow. Like I don't know where it came from.
It's not that big.
It's not that big, you know but it's like there's this thing where it's like you knew all the creatives, you knew all the cool kids. If you grow up with a certain thing. I grew up in New York, I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
Like straight up, I just didn't know anyone in this industry. Like all my friends that I grew up with, they did different things. They were not into music the same way I was, or they, you know, went into the fucking, you know, I don't have any friends I grew up with that do the same thing I did.
Right.
You know? So it's a curse and a blessing, but it just, you know, if it wasn't for Mass Appeal, I hadn't put myself in that situation. Like, I don't think I would have known nearly as many people as I do. And like that networking is like the most invaluable shit in the entire world.
Right.
So, yeah.
Definitely.
That's awesome. So I think you guys definitely have some like super compelling video series, Rhythm Roulette, Open Space, and you just launched the new one today, or like within the past couple of days. You showed the Tweets is watching.
Yeah, that's some funny shit we did with Valet.
Yeah, it was fun.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that more often. All those video series, what we find is like YouTube. Like they're obviously video series that work, right? Like we know Rhythm Roulette will do well
for sure,
but it's, you know, it's interesting because like YouTube's algorithm always changes. So it's like on some level, I don't really know what the future is going to hold for Mass Appeal's digital video. We want to scale so much higher and so much bigger and do such premium content. And I think our content stands, you know, we're in the competition. We're in the race, like for sure. Like I would say like it's between us, Genius, Complex, and there are other brands that have more hype and do what they do, amazing things too. Like I look at Lyrical Lemonade, I look at No Jumper, obviously a huge influence on what I've done at Mass Appeal. And I salute those guys. Even Academics does crazy numbers, and I you know, salute to him. Like or even like Say Cheese, man. I was just with Sean Cotton today from Say Cheese Media, and it's like, it's crazy. This dude runs this whole company out of he shoots and does everything. He has like a ridiculous reach, you know what I mean? 400,000 followers on Instagram, like, you know, 200,000 on YouTube, and it's just all to him. He has nobody he's working with.
Yeah.
And I guess the point is like, you really can do this shit. Like I was just with Cole, like it's like 4 or 5 people in that office. That's it. They have a great office. It's awesome, man. But it's like, they're doing great 4.5 million YouTube subscribers. Crazy.
Right.
Like crazy, like 4 people. So each one is accounting for 1 million each. Like to me, that's where the future is. Like for YouTube, it's like creators. Like that's where I almost struggle to see where like Complex and Mass Appeal and Genius and all these brands how are they gonna stand the test of time? Because the way YouTube is it's geared towards creators. It's geared towards people. No Jumper is a brand, but it's really Adam. Like you feel like you're talking to Adam.
Yeah.
So
right.
I think that's what YouTube is all about right now. And that's where it's headed. And I think that, you know, until all these brands find like talent that represents the brand, like it's going to be hard for them to do the same numbers as
right.
At least,
or build the same hype, build the same connection. Because I think the algorithm pushes these guys
for sure.
Right.
And I think that so there's like one segment of our show that's kind of like hot takes or just different things. Sometimes we stand by them. Other times it's just interesting perspectives that can probe good discussion. So here, I mean, it leads right into that. Like influencers now have the ability to connect directly with their audience. Mm-hmm. Is that making media companies become irrelevant?
Yes and no, because I think, like I said, I think the influencers have a huge platform, but I think it's a misnomer. I guess I want to clear one thing up is that it's a misnomer to think that these influencers don't have connections to the industry and don't have hugely important like relationships that push them and continue to push them. And that doesn't mean that they're not influencers, but it definitely means that they're part of the gang. They're part of the industry. I think there's this weird thing now that hip hop does, especially where it's like you want to be independent, but it's like you're not really fucking independent.
Yeah.
And like that is a lie that people tell the rest of the industry.
What, when they're independent and they're not?
But it's not even the industry. They tell the public, not even the industry. They tell the public that they're independent because it's like a marketing thing. And it's true with all these influencers too on some level. It doesn't mean that they're not, but going back to what I just said, it also doesn't mean that they aren't hugely influential. It doesn't take anything away from them as influencers or as gatekeepers. But soon enough, the gatekeepers will change when the media shifts, when YouTube isn't popping, because YouTube is going to have a life. It's not like it's going to be inevitable that YouTube is always going to be the platform where everybody gets all their information and gets all the power. Like everything changes. So when the next platform shifts, like there'll be a new crop of people who take advantage of it and become those guys.
For sure.
So I think those guys everybody I just mentioned, I think is doing an incredible job at what they're doing. And like they own that landscape for sure. And I think that they're very savvy and very aware of that. The landscape is constantly shifting.
Totally.
So if I were to say like, I don't really know if that's a hot take. I just think that's something that like, I see this shit shifting.
Right. And
I can see it underneath me. And it's like, I want to be very cognizant of the fact that like things change very rapidly and very quickly. And if you're not there and aware of it, you're going to be blindsided.
For sure.
Yeah. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I see it. You know?
No, I mean, it's sort of like how in hip hop, you know, there's a bunch of people that I think don't like new music or like SoundCloud rappers and they think that nobody has talent. But then you have these people like Drake and Kanye West who are kind of embracing every movement as it comes along. And that's why they're still here. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like the same thing with I think, influencers and media. You know what I mean? It's like these people are here to stay, even though they're posting pictures of themselves in the bathroom and a selfie is getting more likes than that high super quality video that you put out. Like they're here and they're here to stay. So like it's just about embracing them. You know what I mean? So that's what I think. I don't know about you saying, but
I just think it's like anybody who doesn't embrace these SoundCloud artists is fooling themselves.
Yeah.
Like it's just you're behind times. Like you might not like the music. Everybody's entitled to their opinion on the music. I don't really care about that. I don't even like all the music, but everybody wants to be a rapper right now. That's the great thing and the bad thing. Everybody can be a rapper right now. It's a gold rush. And everything changes. Like I guarantee you at the top of rock, like rock music, like in the 70s, 80s, no one thought was ever going to be like, no one ever thought was going to lose. Like they never thought they were going to lose. Mm-hmm. Everything changes if you're not aware of it. Like if you're not open to the change, you're just going to be caught being the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that like we always within Vayner focused on this notion of like underpriced attention going where attention will be. Mm-hmm. And I think the same thing applies with artists. Like I remember there was an interview with like Gucci, and he was talking about I think it, like Funkmaster Flex asked him if he fucks with like Lil Yachty and all this like next generation. This was obviously earlier on in like Yachty's come up, and he's like, I don't necessarily always like the music, but I'll damn sure partner up with them because that's what's gonna help me. Like how we would frame it, like attention hacking, right? You know, attention is here. How can you find creative ways to partner up with people? I think you saw Drake. I mean, this wasn't with another artist, but he saw a lot of momentum on Twitch, right? So what does he do? He goes on Twitch, attention hacks by playing with Ninja, the biggest influencer on the platform, right? So it's the same, like, and then as a result, not only did he get tons of press, but he got all this exposure into this new world, right? So it's the same thing with big artists tapping into SoundCloud rappers. It's the same thing with who knows what's going to be this next wave, right? Like we know the SoundCloud rap wave is hot right now. We know hip hop as a whole is on top right now. I mean, genres generally speaking seem to be kind of like the lines are getting blurry. So we'll see what kind of wave is next. But I think generally speaking, just always trying to understand where like the puck is going attention wise and being strategic as to how you partner with where the attention is.
Right, exactly.
I think it's like, yeah, I think that's spot on. Definitely spot on, man. I don't know, man. Hip hop just came out of like people expressing themselves, and then it became this hugely important, hugely influential genre. But the thing is, I think the genre, like you said, I think that shit is dying too. I think it's like people are become like nothing, like a lot. Like, all right, I hate to use him as an example because he's so divisive. But all right, Tekashi, right?
Oh no! Go ahead.
Stop recording, yo! Stop recording.
Or 6ix9ine or XXXTentacion or any of these artists. They don't even make music. None of their music sounds the same. Right. I mean, it sounds like everybody to the untrained ear, to the SoundCloud hater, it sounds all the fucking same, but it isn't the same. And like people are becoming more and more. I don't even want to say more and more a fan of, but like they just follow. I think the trend is going to move to like you follow an artist, literally like you follow them on Instagram, and you're just a fan of their music or whatever way they express themselves. And it's like the genre game is like gonna start trickling away. For sure. I think that is like really exciting development, honestly.
Right. So who do you think, which artists stick out to you for like, yo, this person's social content or yo, this person's video content is like dope? Like who do you think?
Well, it's like it's hard to say, right? Because like it's hard to say because it's all about attention a lot of the time.
Right.
So it's like, all right, the content itself might be not my favorite, but it's like I see like how people, I don't think I have one person. Like I see like, for instance, like, and everybody's different. That's the other thing. It's like Vince Staples makes amazing music videos, has amazing ideas for content, right? But I love that shit too, but I don't think that it's like, it has any less value than like Tekashi's amazing social Instagram plan or any less value than, you know, Playboy Cardi's, like, you know what I mean? Like the way like Og does, like basically Og is like a fashion house, like how they just do seasonal drops. Yeah. Like it's just like, it has no less value. It's just different. It's like everything is cool to me. Like everybody does their own thing. And I think there's not one person who I'm like, wow, this guy is just killing everyone. Like there's no one like that to me. Everyone is doing their own thing. And that's what makes this, I think, technological shift, like so that everyone has a camera and all that shit. Like I think that's what makes everything. That's like the product of that. Like that's why it's so cool to me, because it's like the technology, the ease and use of technology has allowed for anybody to make really compelling content, and I don't think that's ever gonna shift. We're not going backwards,
right?
So
it's gonna get easier.
It's gonna get easier and easier, and it's still so fucking hard to stand out.
Yeah,
that's the thing that I think people don't understand. It's like it doesn't matter how like everybody. It's so hard to stand out, and I think that's gonna be like a continued thing where it's like you're gonna struggle. You're gonna struggle to stand out until you find your own voice and express yourself the way that's true to you. Yeah.
Right.
Do you guys, I mean, when it comes to creating content series, are you just testing around different things? Or when it comes to like trying to stand out, you're just like coming up with ideas, throwing stuff against the wall? Obviously, there's some tact in doing so, but like, how do you evaluate new like content ideas and opportunities?
We, a lot of it's like, you know, there's no science behind it necessarily. A lot of it is what we think would be cool. But then we also kind of see like what the algorithm game is. And I'm not gonna lie to you at least. And then there's also like what talent is available to you, and attention hacking is a real thing for mass appeal too. And I think Genius too, or Genius is paying attention like to all these dudes who are doing crazy numbers, but maybe the mainstream media isn't fucking with them
for sure.
Right.
And like that is the other thing that I think is really cool. Like you were talking about attention hacking, but like the artists can now can shift whole artists that you've never heard of. You might never hear of somebody like I never heard of NF, right? Yeah, I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's like some kind of like Michigan rapper, I think. I don't know, a white guy.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yo, he was doing crazy numbers.
He is.
And I was
I actually
like,
had the same conversation with somebody else.
But
yeah.
It doesn't even matter because it doesn't matter what I think anymore. It just matters that if you can build an audience and like, it's crazy because like you might think you know everything about rap music, and there's a guy getting millions of streams, millions of hits on videos that you don't even know because it's not on the mainstream media.
Right.
That's so funny. Earlier today, I have this playlist that's it's like a mixture of 6 different playlists that I follow that update music semi-regularly with new acts. And somebody came up and I was like, this song's kind of cool. Like, I wonder who this person is. And I looked and he had like 1.5 million Spotify listeners a month. And I just turned to my coworkers. I was like, y'all know who this is? They were like, no. So this person, I guess, is super popping. And he's like a Jamaican artist or something like that. And I've never heard one of his songs. And like he has millions of people listening to his music every month. So,
but I guess what I'm saying is like, I think all the media companies are focused on that. If they see that you are doing crazy numbers on any platform, they know like, it doesn't matter if you have 1,000 Twitter followers, but you have 10 million followers on fucking Spotify. They know like people will watch this shit. Right. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's what the attention hacking is, like the name of the game in the digital media space right now. Like, I think that's extremely well put. Shout out to Gary Vee for that.
Yeah, for sure. Like, with that said, I think taking a leap from just media companies to record labels, I feel like Mass Appeal is at an interesting place where it's a media company and a record label. I think media companies are in this opportune position in the sense that they have a lot of the attention, they create the attention. So you're starting to see a lot, like a handful of different media companies start to actually release records. Like No Jumper released a single. Probably just a matter of time between Lyrical Lemonade.
Lyrical Lemonade, I think they manage like multiple artists.
Right. So there's definitely like the aligned interests there. Def Jam, Poached, Complex, Chief Content Officer, Noah. Like, do you see building up owned media properties and channels becoming like the future of how record labels operate in today's age?
Yeah, I think they already do. They do that right now, and they might not tell you. They, and I think like we said, like we already talked about, like these influencers are hugely important in breaking artists now. And I think there is a lot of the times there are relationships that these guys have. But at the same time, I think major labels are mad confused right now. Like, and they have, but the other thing is they have their own way of pushing artists, and they're like, they still like, they're still great at it,
Right.
And you just have to touch, like, the other thing is you really have to physically touch these fans. Like, you really have to build your own, you have to grab people's attention. You have to like go out and still do shows all the time, like everywhere in this country. Like there's Iowa, there are people waiting to hear rappers. Like that, you think it's crazy. Even if you get 200, if you go to a city and get 200 people from Iowa to come to your concert, or 150 people, those are going to be 150 people that will always rap for you.
Right.
Forever. And it's like, if you have 150 people in Iowa, like that's almost more important than having like 1,000 people in New York.
Yeah.
Because they'll actually care and buy your merch.
Totally.
And tell their friends about you. So it's like,
Brian actually told me that.
Who did?
Brian Johnson did when I was at Mass Appeal. He said something very similar to me.
Shout out to Brian Johnson, man. That guy's a beast. Love that dude.
Yeah. Speaking of which, like, who are some other people that you look up to in the music industry? Like, I know you mentioned you met Coach K and...
Oh, Coach K for sure. Steve Stoute.
Yeah. What are the qualities you admire in these guys?
just their hustle, and like they've always been connected to amazing artists. Like Steve Stoute worked with Nas when Nas was like, you know, really young. Like, you know, Coach K, he worked with Gucci Mane and Young Jeezy before they were who they are today.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and then they stuck with it and still made like incredible movies. Like I would love to work with QC. Like I would do. I would love to work for QC. I'd love to work for your translation. Like I'd love to work, you know, these companies are amazing companies that these dudes built. And I just like people who have see opportunities and see white spaces in the industry and just go for it and fill it in.
Right.
You know what I mean? And,
for sure.
Like, who else do I look up to? Like, man, I love like artists who are independent and have always remained themselves. Like, I always look up to that because I know that that is so hard. Like I look up to Currency, man. Like, I love that artist. I've always loved
Jet Life.
Jet Life. Like, I'm a huge fan. Like, I met them and met Musa, and I was like, man, you guys are so fucking cool. Like, and like, they just operate out of New Orleans. They do their thing, and they make a lot of money doing it. It's like, it's really to me, that is like, that's really admirable. Like I look at like Tech Nine. When I met Tech Nine, I was like, man, this is like, you're an incredible dude. Like, he was like a role model. Just seeing how he operated, how he put his logo on everything, and like they sold everything, you know. And like, it's genius, man. It's not easy to do that. It's really not. Like, you can put your logo and do all this stuff, but you can't sell it. You know, like you have to build a cult of personality, and people have to love you to buy your stuff. But
totally,
you know, I look up to those guys. I look up to like Pablo Picasso. Like, he's dope too. You know what I mean? I look up to like Toni Morrison. She's a great writer.
Yeah.
You know, like I look up to everybody. Like I think there's something you can learn from every single person.
For sure. I think it's super valuable to have like diverse inspirations. I think it brings and grounds your perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I look up to like Adam too, and like Cole. Like, I think those guys are so cool because of how they built it. They saw opportunity and they went for it. And now they are super established and they built hype. Building hype around your product is something that's so invaluable and so like, it's so like difficult to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let's dive deeper here. Like, I mean, if you had to define hype, like, how would you define hype?
People buying your shit and being excited to buy your shit.
Right.
And like making memes independently about Astro World, like stuff like that. Like, I was like on Instagram, and I've seen like, all right, obviously, let's give some context because this will come out probably after Astro World drops. But Astro World's dropping tomorrow. I've seen memes all week.
Yeah.
All month.
It's crazy.
When will Travis Scott drop his shit? Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, man, that is hype. That's real hype. It's like, he hasn't dropped anything in 2 years. And people are fiending for his shit.
Right. And he just announced it, you know, a few days ago.
Yeah, but like they make memes. It's like the whole, that is what hype is. It's like, if you are able to get people around the world to really covet your stuff, that, and like excited, because everybody's product is not the same, you know, but the way you market it, you know, is the most important part, because everybody's product can be great, especially nowadays. Like, music is not that hard to master and mix and make. You could do it all from your bedroom, but can you really hype it up? Can you really get people to buy that shit and fiend for it?
Right.
I don't know. It's not that easy. You know, major labels are having trouble, and they have teams of people trying to work around the clock to get this shit right. So if you can figure that out, like, I look at Lil Pump. Like, think about Lil Pump, man. He used to just shoot guns off in the middle of Florida, like by himself. He was like a young, crazy 16-year-old.
Yeah.
But he built hype around that idea. Right. And like, people were like, whoa, this dude's crazy.
Yeah, he's a
and I gotta check his music out.
I gotta check his
music out. Yo, this guy makes music? You know, like, and that's hype. Like, that's what hype is to me. Like, people wanting to check your shit out, and like, because everybody can be like, yo, we're gonna drop this interview in 2 weeks. Who's excited? And there could be crickets. But if Adam puts up like, who's ready for this interview, him and whoever, dude, oh my God, people are gonna lose their shit
for sure.
You know, and like, if you can, and it's, everybody's product is kind of the same, but if you can build your leverage and build, you know, your identity and your brand up to that point, I think that's really commendable and really
for sure
dope.
It's huge.
Yeah. I don't know if that answers
how much of that do you think from the artist perspective is like strategic versus just like self-expression?
I think it's really strategic.
Yeah.
But it is also self-expression because I've been around these dudes enough to know that it's like not always that well thought out.
Right.
But it sometimes works. Sometimes you just go with your gut. I mean,
Right. You know, no,
if you see something's working for you, the smart dudes just keep going, riding with it.
For sure.
Right.
I just think about it too. It's crazy. It's Instagram. Like I was watching today, and they're just accounts that just repost whatever you post on your story. So it's like Lil Xan listens to old throwbacks, and it's like Lil Xan listening to just old music. But it's like, who cares? But people care.
Like, oh my God.
It's like, I don't know. Who cares? But like someone cares. And like, that's just, it's so crazy to me. That's what like, it's strategic, but it's like he was just listening to music and got someone to put it on social media. You know,
for
like,
sure.
I think people in general are just like interested in what other people are doing. Like I could name a couple of people that I follow right now. Every time I look at their stuff, it's like, yo, this shit is dumb. But I look at their story like every day.
No, that's why like our like Vayner Talent, we document people's lives and create a ton of social optimized content around it, right? It's like having to spend all this time trying to produce this golden content. Like, don't get me wrong, there's still a place for that. But generally speaking, like you could just document people's lives. People crave that behind the scenes, like access. So just being able to put the structure in place to give that to your fans and your growing fan base is huge, for sure. One interesting thing too, when you were talking about the Astroworld artwork and how people are making memes with the heads, I think it like, to the extent that you could construct those sort of things, like I look back to like More Life, the album with Drake, where he was like sitting on the structure and then everybody.
That was Views.
Excuse me. From Views.
Excuse you.
You wrong.
You don't even know Drake, bro. That was a classic, bro.
Oh man. But just getting really strategic around seeding those sorts of viral things, right? Even with the In My Feelings kind of movement and all those dance things, like that was really just the domino effect of a lot of like big influencers early on who, per your point, Harrison, are very likely well connected in the industry. And I wouldn't be surprised if getting paid to help with that sort of rollout.
Well, think about it, right? Like Drake, to me, is like the OG of this shit.
Yeah.
He did this shit with Hotline Bling before it was really a thing.
Yeah.
He's like the smartest dude about it. Like he had... Like they made, I don't know if it was the industry or the internet, somebody pulled it up, but it's like they made memes about that video where he was like playing tennis and like doing stuff, like they added shit, but like that was like what built the hype for the record.
Right.
And like
for sure.
He is Drake, man. I would love to work for Drake, man. Like, I would love to work with him because like he sees trends and like this In My Feelings thing is like, I mean, it's great, but I can't believe what really blows my mind is no one sees that it's like a formula. Like the vast majority of people don't see that it's a formula. And I guess maybe shouldn't be telling people that it's a formula, but it's a fact.
The real ones know, yeah.
And like, it doesn't mean that it's any less successful.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because people are still entertained by it. You know what I mean? People still, I know it was a formula, but I learned that In My Feelings dance. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I knew what Drake was doing, but I learned that too.
Just because you see what they're doing, like that's almost like my curse sometimes is that like I see what people are doing and I know that there's a strategy behind it, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. That there's everybody should have a strategy.
For sure.
It would be stupid if they didn't have a strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So to that point, like, yeah, you might know it, but I definitely still know that dance. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I definitely still remember the Hotline Bling stuff, and I hadn't even thought of that song in like years, like, to be honest. But I still remember those ridiculous memes with the, you know, in the music video that they just popped up on the internet. And
right.
I think that's a lot more strategy by like now major labels are like coming to it, like they're figuring it out. Like they're like, yo, we gotta get something, you know what I mean? Like they're figuring it out. Like we got to get a meme behind it so it goes viral. And it can only go viral if it truly connects with people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, like I look at my man, Corday, right? YBN Corday. I don't know if you guys know him. I met him at South by this year. Similar story to what I said about the Maxo thing, right?
Yeah.
I met this kid with Namir. Namir came in. I was like, oh, all right. Like we were interviewing Namir. It took forever for some reason, not because of Namir, because of us. And they were just chilling. And I was talking to this kid. I'm like, yo, this dude is so smart. He keeps telling me about, residual income, and we're having this crazy conversation about what books we should read. I'm like, why? And I didn't know he made music at all. I didn't know he made any music. He didn't tell me. He didn't say, yo, I rap, by the way. He wasn't. We were just having a connection.
Right.
Needless to say, I see this dude on World Star like a month and a half later, and he goes 1.5 million views on this J. Cole shit.
Right.
Yeah,
and he comes with it really smartly, responded to the J. Cole 1985 thing, saw that there was a white space in the industry for young cats who could rap and were intelligent. This dude Corday is a very smart person. And I just think we still follow each other on Instagram. We still hit each other up every once in a while, but it's just so crazy to me that like these little things that you don't even know, these things just pop up and become this much bigger thing. So you got to really be aware of who you're talking to, and how you present yourself, and who you're around, because you never know when this shit will come back to be either a blessing or something that haunts you.
Right.
I don't know what we were talking about, but I randomly came up because the reason I thought of Corday was because he has this kung fu dance thing, this kung fu meme thing, and I don't think he did this with a strategy behind. I mean obviously he's reposting everything, but it wasn't like, people are doing it because they want to do it. It's not because he was like, yo, do the kung fu challenge and I'll repost you. It's like they just started doing it, and he started reposting it, and it builds this momentum for your record and momentum for your fan base, and that's incredible to me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, with like Father Stretch My Hands Part 2, I like saw firsthand how that sort of brought Metro's brand to a different level just because of that drop in the beginning. Yeah, like, Metro, don't trust you, I'm gonna shoot. Beautiful morning. I saw so many memes on the internet with the beginning of that, and I saw how that transformed. I was looking at the stats, you know what I mean? So that stuff is important. So I think it does make sense that labels are starting to get involved in that. I'm wondering, like, yo, once the labels are doing and they're co-opting kind of the whole movement of like memes, like what's going to be the next thing? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I just think that like people see through. I think people see through when it's not connecting. I mean, some artists have such crazy fan bases it doesn't matter.
Right.
But I think people see through it. So I think that's going to be the next thing. It's just you got to be aware of it, like we were talking about. Like we just have to see that the landscape is going to change.
It's moving.
It's going to change, and you got to be aware that if it's going to change, you have to be ready for that change and see things before other people do. Like I think about Twitch, right? Like I don't ever go on Twitch.
Right.
No offense to Twitch, I just don't care.
Same. Yeah.
But on the same angle, it's like that's what gets. If you're big on Twitch, that's almost better than being big on YouTube, right? It's almost better than being big on Instagram,
for sure,
like,
for sure.
Because it helps all those other things.
Yeah. And then trying to find those things before they pop too. It's like if you get in early, then you grow with the platform, right? Like,
well, that's what academics did.
Yeah.
Like that's what Ninja did.
Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't know those guys, but they had millions of hits on YouTube. I was like, who are these dudes?
Sure. Twitch is like a very interesting one in the sense that like Twitch is legit trying to get into these other content verticals beyond just gaming. So they were acquired by Amazon. They got Amazon like behind them, supporting them. So that's a good sign. And then beyond that too, it's like if definitely as content creators in this industry, I mean, it's not something to overlook, the getting creative around building community on Twitch. Because if they continue to invest and they kind of deliver upon that ambition of theirs to have a thriving set of other verticals, then like, damn, get it right now. And then 2 years from now, it'll just be huge.
Right.
Going back to what you just said, like, what is the next thing? That's why I love, like, this is going to sound weird, but I love having like 18-year-olds around me. Like, I love having high schoolers around me. I always have like a group of high school interns. And it's only because they are really the kid. They're the ones who are like, yo, what are you using right now? And they obviously all love Snapchat, but they just know so much more about technology because as you get older, you're just going to be focused on your verticals that you like, that you're accustomed to. And you don't want to change and do different things unless everyone does it. And that's rarer and rarer nowadays.
Right.
That your group of friends is going to be on some new shit that you're not on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's a similar thing with music, though. Like, I think a bunch of labels, they're hiring like 20, 21-year-olds to be like A&Rs and stuff at this point.
Yeah, but I think that's always been the case, right? Like A&Rs, like on some level, right? Like just always trying to find new talent. Like,
I guess, but the bigger ones that I know of currently aren't 21, 20 years old. Most of the A&Rs that I know that have made something of themselves at this point are, 26, 27 years old. So I'm saying like in college, they're like, bringing people to be A&R consultants and really work for these labels in a way that I think is different than what I'm used to seeing.
yeah, that's dope. Salute to them.
Yeah.
And hopefully they can just, because like, here's the thing. If I was successful 21-year-old, I would have been fucked. Oh man, it would have been horrible for me. Because I struggle, like it's the struggle that defines you as a person.
Yeah, right.
It defines your work ethic. It defines how you act.
Right.
It's not really like the success, I don't think.
Yeah.
Because you're just going to be caught sleeping if you just feel like you're always successful. You know what I mean? I think what I've been blessed with was seeing it from the ground up and doing a million jobs.
Right.
If I didn't do all those horrible jobs like that I didn't like, I wouldn't know what it feels like to be in charge.
And you wouldn't appreciate it as much.
And what it feels like to work underneath people.
Right.
It's
so hard to really swallow your pride. Swallow your pride sometimes. It's so hard to like just accept that other people know what they're doing and just trusting the fact that like there's a vision here, trusting in a vision, and once you find those people that you really rock with as mentors, like I'm so blessed I had great mentors who believed in me and gave me a lot of chances, And
yeah, man, that's a big thing.
I don't think everyone gets that. I know that not everyone gets that, but not everyone also is seeking them out. That's the other thing. It's like I feel like not everyone is looking to get people. Don't want to hear it from people who are older, because on some level, and this is true, is like we just talked about, it's like the game is changing so quickly. Like you might know more than you might actually know more about what's going on in hip hop right now as an 18-year-old than you would as a 28-year-old or a 30-year-old who's been working in the industry for 10 years. But there is more to that, more to being a successful person than knowing what is going on in hip hop,
right,
or knowing what's going on in music. There's a way to carry yourself or in a way to like navigate that, like you can only really know what to do by asking other people and humbling yourself.
Right.
So like that's where I'm just blessed that I have people I can always bounce off ideas and be like, and I can tell them like, yo, I was tripping. I'm sorry. Like I was tripping. Like, or when I mess up or I get too emotional, like I'm sorry. I was tripping. Like I was being a grouch or some shit.
Yeah. For sure.
So yeah, I don't know.
Cool, man. Well, I think just one, I guess, last question to close it out. I think as you continue to grow, what's the advice you would have given yourself, knowing what you know now 5 years ago?
Control your emotions. Like it was really hard for me because I'm such an emotional person, and just be confident. I didn't have any confidence coming in because I really didn't know anyone. So I just felt like I didn't have what other people had.
Right.
And I didn't realize that all just comes into I had patience. Right. But I didn't have confidence in my patience. So it's like, I just didn't believe that this would all work out. I always knew it would work out, but I just didn't, I wanted it to happen quicker. And if I had just been confident in the fact that I don't know everything and I'll learn everything. Right. And I'll meet more people and I'll get to this point if you just keep your nose down and grind. I think right now there's so much more that I could learn. I'll always tell everybody like, just, yo, you could learn so much. And I want to learn so much. There's so much more I want to do in life than just work in the music industry. But I see it as such an amazing stepping stone. You know what I mean? And I'm directing films now. I'm directing documentaries. I'm directing digital content. And like, I love doing that. And that's just one thing I want to do. I have like a list I look at every morning on my fridge of like goals. And some of them are like, just read every day. And some of them are like, write a novel and direct a film.
For sure.
And then it's crazy because I wrote that list like 4 years ago and I just can knock things off that I've done.
Yeah, that's tight.
And I'm like, damn, I did that in 4 years. I got like 50 years in this game. I guess not. You know what I mean? I have 50 years in life. Like I don't have, like I have more than 50. I'm hoping to live to 70, or 70 or 80 or 90. But I'm saying you have like 50 years of working, and it's like I knocked out like something I wanted to do that I had on my goals list in like 4. Like what else can I do? Like what else can I do? And
Right.
I think like being less emotional sometimes, like, cause you really want to be something that you're not sometimes. You really want to be, you always want to strive. And I was so emotional about like, I was like, damn, I just wish I could do this. Like, and I would show my emotion everywhere. Like I felt bad about myself. And if I just hadn't done that, I wouldn't even say I would have been better, but it would have made my life a little easier.
Right. The process would have been easier.
Yeah. But I can't be mad at it because it got me to my point now. And it's something I had to learn. You know what I mean? Like I had to learn it. If I hadn't learned it, I would just be yelling at people all the time and feeling bad about myself on the other end. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
So
totally.
I think, yeah, just being confident in who you are and just knowing that like this shit all works out. Like it's just the law of averages. Like it will work out if you just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
You will, you even if you're the worst batter in the MLB, you still get one hit. You might hit a home run. It might be, you know what I mean?
sure.
You never know. You just got to keep going up to bat. It doesn't matter how many times you strike out. And that's just some shit that I always keep in the back of my mind. So I don't know. I don't know if that's
powerful. No, super.
I just keep it in the back of my mind.
Definitely, man. Well, Harrison, thank you very much for coming on, sharing some insight and wisdom, man. Grateful.
Thank you guys for having me. This was
course,
fun.
man.
I talk about music all day. So,
Yeah, right.
Hopefully I didn't insult anyone.
No, that's super helpful, man.
Not on our end.
Dope.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you, bro.